Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Valsa Williams and with me is R.S. Raghu with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister dedicates to the nation various development projects in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, inaugurates AIMS, fertilizer plant and ICMR centre. Prime Minister lauds UP government's work for benefit of sugarcane farmers. India supplied COVID-19 related medical and other assistance to over 150 countries since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, says government. Centre releases 402 crore rupees to Punjab under Jal Jeevan Mission. India successfully test fires short-range surface-to-air missile from Integrated Test Range, Chandipur, Odisha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate reconstruction works of Kashi Vishwanath Dham on the 13th of this month. India consistently supportive of the democratic transition in Myanmar, says government. China warns that U.S. diplomatic boycott of Beijing Winter Olympics could harm the dialogue and cooperation between the two countries. As India marches towards administering 150 crore vaccine doses against COVID-19, news about the new corona variant is a cause for concern. In this situation, we appeal to our listeners to get fully vaccinated at the earliest and help others get vaccinated. Please continue to follow these 3 simple steps to stay safe. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 011-2397-8046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated several development projects worth 10,000 crore rupees in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh today. These projects include the fertilizer plant, AIMS, and a new building of the Regional Centre of Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR. The Prime Minister in his address said he is grateful to inaugurate the projects whose foundation stone was laid by him 5 years back. Mr. Modi said today's program is a testimony to the fact that nothing is impossible for New India.
जब नेक नियत से काम होता है तो आपदाएं भी अवरोध नहीं बन पाती। जब गरीब, शोषित, वंचित की चिंता करने वाली सरकार होती है तो वो परिश्रम भी करती है, परिणाम भी ला करके दिखाती है। गोरखपुर में आज हो रहा आयोजन इस बात का भी सबूत है कि नया भारत जब ठान लेता है तो इसके लिए कुछ भी असंभव नहीं है।
The Prime Minister further added that before 2014, the country faced acute crisis of fertilizers. The supply chain had many pilferage points. He said the government has worked on 3 formulas to end this crisis.
हमने यूरिया का गलत इस्तेमाल रोका, यूरिया की 100% नीम कोटिंग की, हमने करोड़ों किसानों को सॉयल हेल्थ कार्ड दिए ताकि उन्हें पता चल सके कि उनके खेत को किस तरह की खाद की जरूरत है। हमने यूरिया के उत्पादन को बढ़ाने पर जोर दिया। बंद पड़े फर्टिलाइजर प्लांट्स को फिर से खोलने पर हमने ताकत लगाई।
The Prime Minister added that 4 more fertilizer plants are to be revived in the coming years. He said the revival of the fertilizer plant in Gorakhpur will generate employment opportunities in the region and will also boost the allied economic activities. The Prime Minister added a gas pipeline has been laid from Haldia to Jagdishpur to provide fuel to the fertilizer plants. He said PM Urja Ganga gas pipeline project will provide cheap gas to the households as well. The Prime Minister further added that revival of the fertilizer plant is a step forward to make India Atmanirbhar in the production of urea. Mr. Modi said the supply of fertilizers from the overseas market was badly hit during the COVID pandemic and its cost increased manifold, but the government ensured that the farmers keep getting fertilizers at the cheapest price. Mr. Modi further said the demand for AIMS in Gorakhpur was pending since years. He said no government paid any heed to it. He said the centre and the state government have worked together to strengthen health infrastructure in eastern Uttar Pradesh.
आज गोरखपुर और बस्ती डिवीजन के 7 जिलों में दिमागी बुखार के मामले लगभग 90% तक कम हो चुके हैं। जो बच्चे बीमार होते भी हैं, उनमें से ज्यादा का जीवन बचा पाने में हमें सफलता मिल रही है। एम्स और आईसीएमआर रिसर्च सेंटर बनने से अब इंसेफ्लाइटिस से मुक्ति के अभियान को और मजबूती मिलेगी।
The Prime Minister said the government is committed to provide world-class health facilities in every part of the country. He said former Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee gave his nod to open 6 AIIMS in the country. He informed the work is on to build 16 AIIMS and the government is working with the aim to open at least 1 medical college in each district of the country. Mr. Modi also lauded Yogi Adityanath government for continuously working for the benefit of the farmers. He said the Uttar Pradesh government has paid a large chunk of the dues to sugarcane farmers in comparison to the previous governments. He also mentioned that the state government has increased the purchase price of sugarcane to 350 rupees per quintal. The Prime Minister also appreciated Yogi Adityanath government for improving the law and order situation in the state. He said the state has embarked on the path of development as the mafias and criminals are lodged in jail. Earlier, Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister Yogi Adityanath in his address said the BJP government has made the impossible possible by inaugurating the fertilizer plant which was lying shut for 30 years. He said today's program is a testimony to Modi hai to mumkin hai slogan. He said the plant is not only revived but also has an enhanced capacity to produce fertilizer. The Chief Minister said health infrastructure has improved under the BJP government. He said before 2014 there was only 1 medical college in Gorakhpur in the Purvanchal, but now medical colleges are functioning in Devariya, Kushinagar, Siddharthnagar, Basti, Bahraich and Ayodhya districts. He also said till 2014 there were only 17 medical colleges in 12 districts in the state, but now 59 medical colleges are there in Uttar Pradesh. The Chief Minister said the world has appreciated the COVID management in India under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. He said Uttar Pradesh has successfully administered 17 crore doses of COVID vaccine.
India has supplied COVID-19 related medical and other assistance to over 150 countries since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic. Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare Dr. Bharti Pawar said this in a written reply in Rajya Sabha today. She said, since the start of Vaccine Maitri program in January this year, India has supplied over 7 crore 23 lakh doses of COVID vaccine to 94 countries and 2 UN entities in the form of grant and commercial export till date. The minister said during the second wave of COVID-19 pandemic, support in the form of COVID-related equipments and medicines were received from more than 50 countries. India's COVID-19 vaccination coverage has crossed 129 crore 46 lakh today. Out of the total vaccination, more than 80 crore 47 lakh vaccine doses have been given as first dose, while over 48 crore 98 lakh doses have been administered as second dose. The Union Health Ministry said more than 66 lakh vaccine doses were administered today. As part of the nationwide vaccination drive, Centre has been supporting the states and union territories by providing them COVID vaccines free of cost. The government has said that National Expert Group on Vaccine Administration for COVID and National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization are deliberating and considering scientific evidences related to vaccination of beneficiaries aged less than 18 years. Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare, Dr. Bharti Pawar, said this in a written reply in the Rajya Sabha today. She said the centre has been supplying COVID-19 vaccines free of cost to the states and UTs for administration to prioritized beneficiaries. Dr. Pawar said Zycov-D vaccine manufactured by Cadila Healthcare has received the approval for restricted use in emergency setting by the national regulator, Drug Controller General of India, for the age group of 12 years and above. She said Bharat Biotech is conducting phase 2 and 3 clinical trial of Covaxin on healthy volunteers aged 2 to 18 years, and it has submitted interim safety and immunogenicity data to the national regulator. Serum Institute of India is also conducting Phase 2 and 3 clinical trial in the age group of 2 to 17 years. Biological E Limited is conducting Phase 2 to 3 clinical trial of RBD of SARS-CoV-2 gene in the age group of 5 to 18 years. The minister said Johnson & Johnson Private Limited is also conducting clinical trial in age group of 12 to 17 years.
The central government has released nearly 7,400 crore rupees to states and union territories under the Ayushman Bharat Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana in the last 3 financial years. The scheme was launched by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in September 2018. The scheme, which is the world's largest healthcare program, provides a cover of up to 5 lakh rupees per family per year for secondary and tertiary care hospitalization to around 10 crore 74 lakh poor and vulnerable families. Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary has informed that 8 cases concerning cryptocurrency-related fraud are under investigation by the Directorate of Enforcement. He said, however, as police and public order are state subjects, the states and union territories are primarily responsible for the prevention, detection, investigation and prosecution of such crimes, including financial frauds, their law enforcement agencies. Mr. Chaudhary said this in a written reply to a question in the Rajya Sabha. He also informed that a bill on cryptocurrency and regulation of official digital currency has been included for introduction in the Lok Sabha during the winter session of Parliament. Minister of State for Finance Pankaj Chaudhary has said the government has taken various measures to keep inflation under control. In a written reply to a question in the Rajya Sabha, the minister said to check the petrol and diesel prices, the central government has reduced central excise duty on petrol by 5 rupees and on diesel by 10 rupees with effect from the 4th of November. In response, many state governments have also reduced value-added tax on petrol and diesel. He said following this, the retail prices of petrol and diesel have sobered down across the country. Mr. Chaudhary informed that price situation of major essential commodities is being monitored by the government on a regular basis and corrective action taken from time to time. He further added that to soften the prices of edible oils, the import duty has been rationalized and stock limits imposed to avoid hoarding up to a period of March next year.
The centre has released 402 crore rupees to Punjab under the Jal Jeevan Mission. In the current financial year, Punjab plans to provide tap water connections to 8,69,000 rural households. The Jal Shakti Ministry said central fund of over 1,656 crore rupees has been allocated to the state for current financial year, which is nearly 4 times the allocation for 2020-21. India today successfully test-fires short-range surface-to-air missile from Integrated Test Range, Chandipur, Odisha. Defense Research and Development Organization DRDO said the launch was conducted from a vertical launcher against an electronic target at a very low altitude. The flight path of the vehicle along with the health parameters were monitored using a number of tracking instruments. Today's launch of the system was conducted to validate integrated operation of all weapon system components, including the vertical launcher unit with controller and weapon control system required for future launches of the missile from Indian naval ships. The first trial was conducted on the 22nd of February this year, and this is confirmatory trial to prove the consistent performance of the configuration and integrated operation. Raksha Mantri Rajnath Singh has congratulated DRDO, Indian Navy and industry for their successful flight test. He said the system will further enhance defense capability of Indian naval ships against aerial threats.
India's coal production has been increased by 10.35% to around 68 million tons in November this year as compared to November 2019. The Coal Ministry said the total coal dispatch of the country also increased by 21.38% to over 71 million tons. The Ministry said the total coal production up to November this fiscal stood at over 353 million tons compared to 334 million tons during the previous year. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. Best wishes to all consumers for Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Hallmark ensures purity of gold. Always purchase hallmarked gold jewellery. For any consumer-related complaints, please contact National Consumer Helpline toll-free number 14404. Issued in public interest by Department of Consumer Affairs, Government of India. Jago Grahak Jago.
President Ramnath Kovind today visited the Air Force Station in Lohegam in Pune, Maharashtra. On arrival at the airbase, the President was received by Air Marshal Vikram Singh, Air Officer Commanding-in-Chief, South Western Air Command, and Dr. Mrs. Arati Singh, President, Air Force Wives Welfare Association Regional, South Western Air Command. Thereafter, the President was conducted for a fleet review by Air Commodore H. Asudani, Air Officer Commanding Air Force Station, Pune. The review included Su-30 MKI aircraft and the Made in India Akash missile system. The President witnessed a breathtaking air display consisting of a large number of fighter aircraft and helicopters. The highlight of the air display was a flypast by a large formation of Jaguar aircraft which painted the skies of Pune with a tattoo of 75 signifying 75 years of India's independence. The President flew a sortie in the state-of-the-art Su-30 MKI simulator and was shown the exceptional capabilities of the fighter aircraft. President Kovind will present the President's Standard to 22nd Missile Vessel Squadron at a ceremonial parade to be held at Naval Dockyard in Mumbai tomorrow. On the occasion, a special day cover along with a commemorative stamp will also be released by the Postal Department.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate the reconstruction works of Kashi Vishwanath Dham on the 13th of this month. Briefing reporters in New Delhi today, BJP General Secretary Tarun Chugh said Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh Yogi Adityanath and about 3,000 religious leaders, saints, artists and other dignitaries from across the country will attend the program. He said Prime Minister Modi had started the work of beautification of Kashi Vishwanath Dham. Mr. Chugh said from the 13th of December to the 14th of January next year, every day there will be a festival in Kashi and this program will be shown live at 51,000 places of the country.
अद्भुत बनाने के लिए कई कठिनाइयां आई हैं, लेकिन संकल्प था प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी का। वो 13 दिसंबर को काशी विश्वनाथ धाम का लोकार्पण का कार्यक्रम प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी के हाथों से काशी में होगा और उस कार्यक्रम में यूपी के मुख्यमंत्री योगी आदित्यनाथ जी और देश भर से लगभग 3000 अलग अलग मठों से, अलग अलग संस्थानों से धर्माचार्य, महात्मा, संत, महापुरुष, कलाकार, गणमाननीय उसमें शामिल होंगे।
Here is a review of proceedings in Parliament today. First from Lok Sabha, writer is Kumar Rakesh of PTI. Lok Sabha today conducted its business smoothly, though there had been sloganeering by the TRS members for a brief while in the morning, who later staged a walkout. Lok Sabha took up the High Court and Supreme Court judges' salaries and conditions of service Amendment Bill 2021 for discussion and passage in the post-lunch session. While moving the bill for passage, Law Minister Kiran Rijiju said the bill clarifies on when the retired Supreme Court and High Court judges are entitled to an additional quantum of pension or family pension on attaining a certain age. Initiating the discussion, Congress member Shashi Tharoor expressed concern over the long pendency of court cases. When he mentioned some pending cases, BJP's Nishkant Dubey raised a point of order to which Mr. A. Rajya, who was presiding the House, asked Mr. Tharoor not to mention the litigations that are sub judice. BJP member Rajendra Agarwal demanded that more High Court benches be set up in states like Uttar Pradesh. Meanwhile, in the morning, Congress leader Rahul Gandhi demanded compensation and jobs from the centre for the next of kin of farmers who died during the year-long agitation against the three farm laws. BJP MP Parvesh Verma raised the issue of drug abuse in the national capital and charged the Delhi government of taking no concrete steps to deal with the growing menace. During question hour, the BJP MP said, while an increasing trend of substance abuse in the country is a matter of concern, Delhi figures in the list of top 5 states. Mr. M.K. Premchandran of the RSP said that mathematics and English papers of the CBSE Class 12 board examinations were very tough as questions were lengthy and out of syllabus, and urged the Union Education Ministry to consider making evaluation process for the two papers liberal in the interest of the students. BJD MP Bhartruhari Mahatab during Zero Hour urged the Government of India a uniform civil code, saying the issue was about bringing the society under one code. In the wake of the Nagaland incident in which 14 civilians lost their lives, National People's Party MP Agatha Sangma said it is time that the Armed Forces Special Powers Act be repealed. Speaking during the Zero Hour, Ms. Sangma, who is an MP of the BJP ally, remarked that this was not the first time that an incident like this had taken place where innocent civilians were killed. She said it reminds about an incident in 2000 in Imphal, Manipur, which is known as the Malom massacre, in which over 10 civilians were shot dead, which prompted the 28-year-old Iram Sharmila to go on a 16-year-long hunger strike. She noted that Home Minister Amit Shah gave a statement informing the House that an SIT will probe this issue. She said the reason why AFSPA was enacted in 1958 was to ensure that insurgency be stopped in the northeast, but it has failed to achieve the said goal. She said what it has done is that it has caused civilians to be unfairly tortured. The Indian Army has ordered a court of inquiry headed by an officer of the rank of Major General into the Nagaland incident. Expressing regret over the firing incident, Home Minister Amit Shah on Monday said a probe by an SIT will be completed within a month and asserted that all agencies must ensure such happenings do not recur while taking action against insurgents.
And now a review of proceedings in the Rajya Sabha. The writer is Sanjeev Chopra of PTI. Rajya Sabha failed to transact any business today as the opposition continued to protest inside the House, disrupting the proceedings. The upper house witnessed two adjournments before the final one for the day, a few minutes after 3 p.m. amid continued uproar. The opposition members have been demanding that the suspension of 12 MPs be revoked. However, the government is insisting that they apologize for their unruly behavior inside the House, which has lowered its dignity before the revocation of the action against them. However, Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia managed to introduce the Assisted Reproductive Technology Regulation Bill 2021 and the Surrogacy Regulation Bill 2020 amid din at 3 p.m. Earlier, soon after the House met for the day and after the laying of papers, some opposition MPs stood up and tried to speak. Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu told the Leader of Opposition, Mallikarjun Kharge, that he has received a notice under the House Rule 267 that calls for setting aside the business of the day to take up the issue listed, but he has disallowed it. He, however, did not mention what the issue was. As some opposition members stood up to protest, Mr. Naidu adjourned the proceedings till 2 p.m. Soon after the House resumed at 2 p.m., Deputy Chairman Harivansh asked Dr. Mandavia to move the motions for the consideration of the two bills, but as the minister stood up, opposition members started raising slogans. The Deputy Chairman reminded them that it was decided that the two bills would be brought together and 3 hours have been dedicated for discussing them. As the opposition continued to try to raise the issues of suspension of MPs, Deputy Chairman Harivansh said only the listed business will be allowed to be discussed and no other matter would be taken up. As far as the suspension matter was concerned, he said the chairman has already stated that the matter should be resolved through a meeting between the Leader of the House and the Leader of Opposition. Sanjay Singh of AAP and a few of the Congress members stormed into the well of the House twice. There was sloganeering by the agitating members who were joined by TMC MPs also. Even as Health Minister Mandavia tried to present the two bills, the opposition members continued to protest, after which the Deputy Chairman adjourned the House till 3 p.m. While the House resumed the proceedings at 3 p.m., Mr. Harivansh asked Dr. Mandavia again to move the bills for consideration. Amid din, Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi said the Treasury benches would also like the suspended MPs to participate in the proceedings of the House. He said the members should apologize for their conduct so that their suspension could be revoked. He said the members danced on the tables, went to beat the marshals, tried to throw TV screens on the ground. The country has seen it all. As Mr. Mandavia moved the bills, repeated requests from Deputy Chairman Harivansh to maintain order went unheeded. Mamta Mohanta of the BJP managed to speak about the two bills amid the din, with opposition members unrelenting in their protests. The Deputy Chairman adjourned the House for the day. That is all in Parliament Review.
Air Quality Commission has ordered immediate closure of National Capital Region NCR industries not running on gas and cleaner fuels in industrial areas despite availability of gas infrastructure and supply. As per the directions of the Commission, these industrial units will not be permitted to schedule their operations till 12th of this month, and the position will be reviewed for further decisions. The Commission said, despite the measures taken in different sectors towards improvement of air quality of Delhi NCR, the air quality still remains in very poor to severe category. In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, on the occasion of Armed Forces Flag Day, Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha today paid rich tributes to the valiant personnel of armed forces and saluted the bravery and selfless service of the defence forces and their families at Raj Bhavan, Jammu. AIR Jammu correspondent reports that the LG said that our armed forces personnel continue to set the highest standards of valour. Their indomitable spirit inspires the whole nation to continue steadfastly towards achieving greatness every single day. He also appealed to the people of J&K to contribute generously to the Armed Forces Flag Day Fund for the welfare of veterans and the families of those who have lost their lives defending the nation.
Assam Rifles has seized narcotics worth 500 crore rupees in Moray of Manipur. Moray Battalion of Assam Rifles, based on hard and accurate intelligence, launched a joint operation with Manipur police in the border town of Manipur. They unearthed a large quantity of narcotics, estimated to be worth over 500 crore rupees. One trafficker of Myanmar origin was apprehended by the team. The narcotics seized comprised approximately 54 kilograms of brown sugar and 154 kilograms of methamphetamine ice meth. India has said that the recent verdicts against the former state councillor Aung San Suu Kyi and others by a Myanmar court are very disturbing. Responding to a query about the proceedings against Aung San Suu Kyi and others, the official spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs, Bagchi, said, as a neighbouring democracy, India has been consistently supportive of the democratic transition in Myanmar. He said India believes in upholding the rule of law and the democratic process. Any development that undermines these processes and accentuates differences is a matter of deep concern, added Mr. Bagchi.
China has warned that a U.S. diplomatic boycott of the Beijing Winter Olympics could harm the dialogue and cooperation between the two countries in important areas and called for politics to be kept out of sports. The U.S. boycott comes just weeks after U.S. President Joe Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping met virtually in an effort to ease tensions in bilateral relations. On Monday, the White House said that U.S. government officials would boycott the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing because of China's egregious human rights abuses and atrocities in Xinjiang. Although U.S. athletes are free to travel to Beijing to compete in the Games, the Chinese mission to the United Nations has called the U.S. move a reflection of its mentality of the Cold War.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi will have shallow fog. Temperature will vary between 10 and 24 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky. Chennai is expected to witness a gently cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Kolkata will have a mainly clear sky. The city will observe a minimum temperature of 20 degrees, maximum around 26. Srinagar will have partly cloudy sky. Jammu will have a mainly clear sky. Now, before we end the bulletin, headlines once again. Prime Minister dedicates to the nation various development projects in Gorakhpur, Uttar Pradesh, inaugurates AIMS, fertilizer plant and ICMR centre. Prime Minister lauds UP government's work for benefit of sugarcane farmers. India supplied COVID-19 related medical and other assistance to over 150 countries since the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, says government. Centre releases 402 crore rupees to Punjab under Jal Jeevan Mission. India successfully test-fires short-range surface-to-air missile from Integrated Test Range Chandipur, Odisha. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to inaugurate the construction works of Kashi Vishwanath Dham on 13th of this month. India consistently supportive of the democratic transition in Myanmar, says government. China warns that U.S. diplomatic boycott of Beijing Winter Olympics could harm the dialogue and cooperation between the two countries. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website. Good night.